The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Free Kicks. So, Adam, you realize that this week, in 1857, the very first football club was formed in England. Really the first football club in the world.
Okay.
October 24th, 1857. Can you tell me what that club was?
I'm going to have a guess, and if I remember, is it the Sheffield Football Club?
It is. And do you know where they are currently in the standings?
No, I don't, actually.
They are in 21st place in the northeast of the non-league Division 1. So,
wow, there you go.
They started off strong. They have been bypassed by virtually every other team, though, since then, but still.
So they're 21st out of 21?
22.
22. Okay, so at least they're not the worst.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. All right, it is time for Free Kicks.
And now, Free Kicks. Free Kicks with Illinois Youth Soccer Association's Director of Coaching, Adam Howarth, and Rick Kemper.
So, we were off last week, right?
Mm-hmm. International break gives us a week off.
It's true, but there were so many things going on. Like, before we had the international break, there were some great games. I've been watching some of the Champions League games this week, too, so we got lots to talk about. And I specifically want to talk about what's going on here at Manchester City, who had a win in their last game, but doesn't really feel like a win, did it?
No, I mean, they squeaked it in the 95th minute. John Stones scores the goal. A little bit of controversy with the player standing in front of the goalkeeper, but it was definitely the right call.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah, it was a great game. I actually really enjoyed it.
I watched it, too. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and I thought Wolves did really well. I mean, they played really, really well. And just sometimes when you get bitten at the start of the season, just it takes a while to get out of that situation. And I think right now they're just they're struggling to get any type of luck, because they definitely needed that luck.
They do, but don't you see some signs of life in them? I mean, that was a great performance against a great team.
No question. They played very well, scored the first goal. I thought the first goal was tremendous, really nice goal that they scored. Interestingly enough, the guy that scored it is like the backup to Erling Haaland on the Norwegian national team.
Oh, is that right?
So, yeah, so John Strand Larsen. So he can't get a game on the Norwegian national team, but obviously tough to play ahead of Haaland. But yeah, nice goal. They defended well. He had other chances as well, made the goalkeeper make some good saves. And yeah, just a little bit unlucky. And like you said, just that's the sign of good teams, that they find a way to win, even at the last minutes, and that's what they did with that last minute goal.
So, I mentioned Wolves showing signs of life, yet they sit with 1 point. In the league after 7 games, down to the last place. But I still think they're gonna work their way out. They do have more than 30 games to go.
I love their manager, love the team. They've got some players there that I think can do it. I mean, and again, we've talked about this before. They lost probably their 2 best players in Max Kilman and Pedro Neto. So that does not help them. So they're regrouping. I think they might, hopefully, if they support the manager and maybe make a few signings in the transfer window in January, they should be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about what's going on off the pitch with Manchester City, because they have been charged with 115 financial breaches, allegedly. The independent hearing has begun after a 4-year investigation conducted by UEFA. But the reason I bring this up is not because there's any resolution in sight, right? You mentioned that it'll probably be when before we find out?
Yeah, it probably won't be until March until we find out exactly what's taken place and what they've done and what they haven't done. Yeah.
The reason I bring it up, though, is Jose Mourinho.
Classic.
He is now predicting that Man City will have their title stripped from 2017-2018, which would give Jose Mourinho and Manchester United the title. This is exactly what he said. As you know, we won the Europa League and we finished second in the Premier League. I think we still have a chance to win that league if they punish Man City, and then they have to pay me the bonus and give me the medal.
That's great. That's just tremendous. Absolutely tremendous.
It is totally him.
Absolutely. I mean, he's exactly. He's just planting the seed so Manchester United know, hey, you get that title. Remember, we finished second, and that's the thing with Mourinho, and that's who he is.
Yeah.
But got to give him credit, and that and I do love to hate him, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he knows, and they were successful. They won the Europa League and finished second with him. So,
and I do kind of miss his antics, just to talk about. Remember, I used to walk up and down the sidelines when Chelsea was getting beaten, and he'd give the 3 fingers to the crowd, like, we've won 3 titles, shut up.
Exactly. And I think I do remember a press conference when he says, 3. That's how many times I've won it compared to everybody else in the whole league. So he's won it 3 more times than everybody else. So, yeah, great stuff.
All right, so we mentioned Chelsea. Let's talk about their match against Liverpool. Very tight match. That was another great game. Did you watch that one?
Oh, of course, yeah. Try not to miss those Chelsea games. Yeah, the Sunday was a really good day of soccer. There's no question about it. And again, and obviously as a Chelsea fan, you're the Liverpool fan, be interested in your thoughts. I thought Chelsea, over the 90 minutes, was probably the better team, in terms of how they played. And again, my blue-tinted glasses, remember that. But
well, I looked at the stats, and you're not wrong. I mean, at the very least, they were as good.
Can we just record that part? Adam, you're not wrong.
That's as good as it's going to get. Okay, I didn't say you were correct.
That's the next clip for the next show. Adam, you're not wrong. I know. Okay.
I'd say if you look at the stats, it was pretty even. But regardless of what you're saying it was not, a resounding Liverpool win.
Mm-hmm. No, great, really good game. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought the interesting thing is on a team that is loaded as Liverpool, it is Curtis Jones who was the man of the match. He draws the penalty that Salah scores. He scores the game winner. He looks like he is playing the game of his life. And then the next game, he'll be right back on the bench.
I know, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the thing. But that's, again, the depth of the squad, and that's what you have to have. Obviously, he's, the manager thought of him high enough to put him into a big game like that. And he came through. And that's exactly what you want. And also, what I really like about the Liverpool manager is how he's able to manage the players. He knew that I think it was Diaz who's coming back from the international break. He had the longest trip, obviously playing for Colombia, right? I think he's on the Colombian national. Yeah. So, he's not going to be good for 90 minutes, but he'll be a great spark. And I thought he was a great spark coming in off the bench for the last 30 minutes or so. So he's managing the team very well, sorting the things out that he needs. So I'll give him a lot of credit. But again, from a forward momentum, Chelsea's moving in a good direction.
Yeah,
it's a little consistency in terms of their play. The only disappointing thing, and as well as he's played recently, probably Cole Palmer wasn't one of his better games, although he had a couple of good chances.
Yeah, he was kind of invisible in that game.
Yeah, if he steps up, maybe he scores that goal with his left foot. Those types of things, maybe he changed the game. But it was a good game. 2 good teams, and I think they're both destined for the top 4.
I think you're right about that. And watched an interview with the manager after the game, and he said that you've got, as far as Liverpool goes, you've got 5 players on the pitch that are captains of their national teams.
Wow.
On his team, you've got Van Dijk, You've got Salah, Andy Robertson, Endo, Soboslai. They're all the captains of their team. So you have leadership on the field at all times.
Yeah, that's exactly it. No, you're absolutely right.
And, how would you like to be the coach that was given that roster, too? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. There you go.
It's not a bad manager gig to step into, is what I'm saying.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the other competitor for the title. They kind of had a hiccup this past week, and that's Arsenal losing to Bournemouth. That's a big loss for them. But I think the injuries are really starting to pile up for these guys.
Yeah, I think it was a tough one because obviously they went down to 10 men, so that they've also been bitten by the red card as well. So that did not help. So that led to a Bournemouth team that was able to take advantage of that.
And it wasn't just any player; it was Saliba, a key player for Arsenal.
Exactly, and if I remember, that was a straight red.
It was.
So that means that's a 3-game suspension. So they're going to be without him for 3 games. So yeah, it's a tough one. So he had all of that depth before, but some of those players weren't happy, and so they've left, like Nketiah, those types of players, right, along with Emil Smith-Rowe, those types of players that probably could have come in and maybe helped. But like you said, Odegaard is injured, who is basically, he holds that team together.
He is a very important player.
And so without having him, and again, got injured on international duty, that makes it tough. So definitely a challenge. So they're going through some rough times. So it's definitely a slip up.
Saka is nicked up. I mean, he's a key player, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Saka was definitely missed. There's no question about it. He's been able to do it, and I think a lot of them were talking about the tracking back in terms of what Saka does. It's not just the attacking aspect, but
right,
the defending aspect that they don't always see. So
because he initially came up as a back, didn't he? Wasn't he? I think as a youth player, he was playing a left back or right back.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, he is actually a player that started as a right back, and I think those tendencies in terms of what he was learned as a defender is holding him in really good stead in terms of now being able to be a great attacker. So he understands the defensive part of the game as well.
Yeah, and that helps. I mean, when you're a pressing team like Arsenal is occasionally, having a guy up front who knows how to take the ball away certainly helps, especially when he's got that kind of speed.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the Champions League because those games are going on this week as we are recording this. And right now, and Wednesday, no, what is today? Thursday, as we look at the top of the standings, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. The top of the Champions League, first place, Aston Villa.
Amazing, huh? Yes, exactly.
Second place, Liverpool. Third place, Man City. Ninth place, Arsenal. I mean, you've got powerhouses like Bayern Munich sitting in 23rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on a second. It takes me about 10 minutes to download the league table. So once I've downloaded it, okay. And I'm still scrolling down because there's 36 bloody teams in this thing.
I know.
But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, there you go. This is why we talk about the Premier League. We don't talk about the other leagues.
Yeah.
Three of the top teams, they're the ones, tip of the top, they're right there. Aston Villa, Liverpool, Man City, the top 3. And like you said, Arsenal, and they're still right there. They're really tied for third because they have 7 points as well. But I believe all of those are unbeaten too. So that gives you an idea of how strong it is.
Well, let's talk about Aston Villa because this is their moment in the sun, right? They squeaked in and got fourth place in the Premier League. So they then got their what do you call it? Their bid for the Champions League. And now they're in there, and they are really making the most of it.
Fantastic. I mean, look at what they've done so far. I mean, also having a good start to the Premier League season.
Yeah,
sitting in fourth spot with 5 wins. And, they beat a Bologna team this past week, probably expected to win, but then they've also beaten Bayern Munich. So that gives you an idea of how well they're doing. And again, that's a team that's got a little bit of depth. They've got players coming off the bench. Again, I think they have to be conscious of utilizing all those players. There was a little bit of John Duran got a little bit upset because he came off when he was brought off the other day in the game. But I think, the manager's doing a good job of managing the team, and he's got young players coming through. And they're, again, a top 4 team when you think about it.
Yeah. So that may be the problem in the Premier League this year, because we talk about the top 4, but really there are 5.
Yes. Yeah, you could definitely
and
say
maybe
there's
even
5.
6. Although I'm not quite ready to put Tottenham in the mix.
No,
because I know how much you love Tottenham.
Not even close. Yes, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
Let's do my weird stat of the week. I was going through the stats, and I found something very interesting about a team that we have talked about a couple times this year, Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
And the thing, they're in the top 8, I think, right now, or maybe 9th, and they're having a great season. The reason they're having a great season is their defense. I've been looking at their defense, their stats. Wow. So they're second in fewest goals conceded. They're first in fewest conceded opening goals, meaning that they've only once all year have they been behind, which is pretty amazing. And then this is something you are going to love. They are first in defending corners, 0 goals in 45 tries.
Wow. That's impressive.
It is impressive. In the meantime, I was looking at, Wolverhampton. They have 23 goals conceded. So
exactly. I was just going to say that. I'm so glad you said that, because you look at the extremes. Yeah. That's the problem with Wolves. And how was that second goal conceded the other day?
Right. On a corner.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen a ton of goals this year on corners. So it's why I was surprised at the 0 goals in 45 tries. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Really good. Yeah.
All right, Free Kicks is brought to you by the Illinois Youth Soccer Association.
Illinois Youth Soccer has been proudly serving the Illinois soccer community since 1975 and has a strong history of credibility. Illinois Youth Soccer is a non-profit corporation, official state association and charter member of the U.S. Soccer Federation, and administers U.S. Soccer Federation coaching programs, the Olympic Development Program, and U.S. Soccer Federation referee programs. For more information, go to illinoisyouthsoccer.org. And don't forget, this week, our ODP registration closes. So those people who are interested in joining, please be part of that. And got a bunch of courses already set up as well for those people looking to do a D, a C, and a B license. So everything's set up for you. Yep.
All right, thanks. Time for your favorite part of the show.
Time now to guess the Premier League star.
Okay, so this one I think is kind of a mid-range star.
Mid-range star. How can you be a mid-range star?
Star-ish. Star-ish. He is 26 years old, and he plays center back. So, you always have one of your better players playing at center back. It is for a mid-table team, unfortunately. But his next match with them will be his 70th. So he's been there for a little bit. He plays for his national team. So you can't play for your national team if you're not a star. And that national team is not England. So, again, we're going to make it a little more difficult for you, because you guessed the English guy like in 3 guesses last week. So going back to international players.
So that's how it works.
That's how it works. Yeah. He has 26 caps for his national team. Before coming to the Premier League, he played professionally in 2 other countries, the Netherlands and his home country.
Okay.
He has won an FA Cup, an EFL Cup, and a World Cup.
Really? Okay. And this guy's a mid-range star. He's won all of those things?
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
for a center back, he's pretty small. He's listed at 5'9", but I have my doubts about that.
Okay. Gotcha. I think I know where you're going with this one. This mid-range team, would you say this realistically should be a top 4 team?
Yeah, I guess in some previous years they have had some success.
I would say probably a lot of success in previous years.
Yeah, they have. Yep.
Okay.
It hurts to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, and this player would be a player that plays for Manchester United.
Yes, my next clue was I'm not sure he drives a Chevrolet, but I know he's worn one on his chest.
I like that. That's pretty good. So Argentina played a lot. Obviously, World Cup winner, Lisandro Martinez from Argentina.
That's the man.
Wow.
And what are your thoughts about him? Would you call him a star?
It's a great question. He's on the bubble. I think he's on the bubble. I haven't seen as much of them because, mid-table teams, I try not to watch too much. But whenever I've seen them, he's been very inconsistent, is probably fair to say. I'm talking to all these Man United fans out there. I mean, I think some games he's played very well, and then other games he's just there, hasn't done anything. Yeah. So it's a tough one. And like you said, he's not your atypical center back 5'9".
Right. Yeah.
That's maybe a little bit of a disadvantage. It's like having a smaller goalkeeper. It's not always a good thing.
Yeah, when you see him standing next to Erling Haaland, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. It reminds me of an under-12 game. You have the big kid,
yeah, exactly,
and the small kid, and you're like, how am I going to stop this guy? Exactly.
Remember when we took our team, our green-white team, to Holland, and our kids were these little kids. They were all the same age, and the Dutch kids were like 6'8". It was insane.
Exactly. Like, okay, this should be interesting. Yeah, I get it.
All right, it's time for my favorite part of the show.
Now time for Adam's Weekend Soccer TV Tip.
Okay, no international break. That means we have actual games that we can watch.
Tell you what, this is a tough weekend because there's so many good ones. So the games start Friday. That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we've got a Friday game, Leicester versus Nottingham Forest, which wouldn't be a bad game either.
Yeah.
But my goodness, Saturday, lots of decent games, but Sunday it's just an absolute blockbuster. Absolute blockbuster of games. So I'm going to go see my good friend in Iowa, who is a Newcastle fan, and we're going to sit together and watch the game because Chelsea plays Newcastle on Sunday at 9:00. So I'm excited to sit there with my good friend Geordie, watch the game, and that should be a lot of fun. And
you're actually telling the truth because you're in Moline right now, which is basically right on the border.
Yes,
right?
That's true. Although I'm coming back and then going there again, so that's a whole other story.
Jeez, okay.
Right. Yeah, gotta watch my son's last game and all that kind of stuff. But absolutely. So that should be a corker of a game. And then at the same time, you can flip it. You can probably watch it on another screen. West Ham, Man United, which is always an exciting game. Lots of things happening, but really, if you think about it in terms of the top game to watch, this has to be it. 11:30, get your popcorn, be ready. Arsenal at home against Liverpool. It's going to be an absolute fantastic day of soccer. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just like there's too many games to watch there on that Sunday. So enjoy.
Very excited about it. All right. Free Kicks is brought to you by Green White Soccer Club. For nearly 70 years, Green White has provided a family-style environment and also some great soccer for any kids from 5 all the way through over 50. Go to greenwhitesoccer.org. All right, we have people to thank. We need to thank executive producer Tony Lasano with Opie Shows. Opie is hippo backwards. We also have to thank our distributor, Ed Silla, with the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great talk radio. Hasn't died. No, it's just gone to a better place at RadioMisfits.com. And Adam and I will be back again. We're going to do it again next week, right?
Yes, we will.
2 weeks in a row. We'll be back again next week for a brand new episode of Free Kicks.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?
Whoa.
Gesundheit.
That's my first on-air sneeze.
There you go.
I don't have a sneeze button like I have in my professional life.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.